Tobey Maguire in his iteration of Peter Parker is one of the most iconic portrayals of a big screen superhero in recent memory, leading the Sam Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man films to incredible success. He has since become a staple of popular culture and has become synonymous with the character of Peter Parker in the hearts of many. In Spider-Man No Way Home, Tobey finally made his on-screen return after almost a decade and a half of a hiatus following the culmination of his own trilogy and the subsequent reboot of the Spider-Man franchise. In No Way Home, Tobey was able to serve as a mentor figure for the younger generation of the iconic wall crawler as played again by Tom Holland, allowing Holland to take center stage while offering his support from the wings. He is able to reassure the young hero by bonding over their mutual losses as the responsibility of being Spider-Man takes its toll on their personal lives and the ones they love the most. In one of the most heartwarming scenes of the film and potentially the MCU at large, we are able to see all three Spider-Men bond over their losses as Tom Holland learns the true weight of what it means to be Spider-Man. As Tobey is introduced, however, Tobey Maguire's version of the character seems to understand that Holland's iteration of the character is in trouble and needs immediate help. He specifically believes that Tom Holland needs help of someone who understands what it means to carry the weight of Spider-Man, and has spent roughly the day leading up to this introduction searching for Tom's character. But how did he know that Tom Holland's version of the character needed help? What happened in between Tobey Maguire's entry into the MCU and his introduction to Ned and MJ that led him to believe that he could be of service to this Spider-Man? Today, we'll be answering that question and delve into the predominant theories that explain what exactly happened in this window of time. First though, today I will be reaching out to the winners of the Spider-Man figure giveaway. We are interested, however, in doing more giveaways on the channel, so what prizes would you guys like to see in the future? Would you like to see some Doctor Strange prizes thrown in there, or perhaps some Moon Knight or other Spider-Man figures? Leave what you want in the comments down below. Now, let's get back into it, and congrats to the winners who again I'll reach out to today. The predominant theory as to exactly how Tobey Maguire knew that Tom Holland was in trouble is his spider sense, and the precedent that spider senses can be connected between multiple beings who share the trait. In the comics, some storylines have depicted a multiversal web of spider beings that span across hundreds of realities, similar to what we see in No Way Home and Into the Spider-Verse. This allows for the spider beings of different universes to be inherently connected by this multiversal web, bridging them together in some versions of the story. If Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is able to feel the emotional distress of this universe's Spider-Man, then he may have an instinctual sense that Tom Holland is in trouble, and specifically that his emotional state is not a stable one. In No Way Home, we are actually given small hints that this might actually be the case. When the two variants of Spider-Man are first introduced to Ned and MJ, they have a compelling web-off where Tobey Maguire is able to jam Andrew Garfield's web shooter in a sort of quick draw, showcasing that neither of the Spider-Men are out of practice as a result of their hiatus. Before this, however, there is a palpable tension in the air as the two Spider-Men face off against each other for the first time. Tobey Maguire can be forgiven for seeing another Spider-Man and immediately being on the edge and confused, but the compelling part of the scene is that even though Andrew Garfield does not know that Tobey Maguire is in his own version of Spider-Man, he still displays the same amount of discomfort despite being cordial with Ned and MJ, both of them sensing that something is off about the other one. They are both friendly and at ease when it comes to talking with Ned and MJ. But as soon as they confront one another, it becomes clear that something is amiss, and this eerie sense of uncomfortable familiarity seems to hint that their senses are heightened in each other's presence. It's apparent that the two are able to sense something about each other, as if they recognize one another on some deep level, and they can detect that there is something distinctly off. This then culminates in their showdown, which solidifies that each of them are their own iterations of Spider-Man. We also see this at the end of the film when Andrew Garfield remarks that Tobey Maguire must be in immense pain following his stabbing. While he might just be sympathetic in the moment, as it's not hard to assume that obviously the stabbing would hurt, he seems unprompted to ask, leaving us to wonder if he sensed the discomfort and asked as a result, physically sensing that he was in immeasurable pain. It's also important to note that both variant Spider-Man know that they are not in their home reality before being introduced to Ned and MJ, as they both remark during their introduction scene. It's even possible that Tobey Maguire has seen the slander from J. Jonah Jameson that has taken the news by storm, as he is caught in the middle of the very same behavior that he recognized from his own iteration of Jameson. He may have come across the news of the apartment bombing, but based on his own experiences, slander from Jameson is standard practice practice for virtually any iteration of Peter Parker, as he has been enduring the verbal assaults for the greater part of 2 decades, yet he seems to know that there is something larger at play here. Seeing Jameson slander Spider-Man in the news might not have been enough to tip off that he was in serious emotional trouble, as the news only reports that one person was killed in the attack and Aunt May is never identified by name. Yet Tobey Maguire still had an inclination that Tom Holland was not only in physical danger at the hands of the Sinister Five, but that he was mentally and emotionally unwell. And this could be attributed to his nigh supernatural connection with other spider beings from across the multiverse and his immediate proximity to another Spider-Man. In the final battle atop the Statue of Liberty, Tom Holland instructs the 2 elder Spider-Men to coordinate their attacks, and while they are able to communicate rather effectively, some parts of the battle seem to be conducted with a shared understanding that was never previously established, almost as if they are able to communicate silently in some capacity and on some occasions. It's also important to note that in the comics, the spider sense is very loosely defined, and while we have conducted our own research on the real-world science behind the spider sense, many comic storylines have taken liberties with what they allowed the spider sense to do. In building an emotional bond between 2 iterations of the same being from across the multiverse would not be incredibly far-fetched to believe within the confines of the MCU, or rather now the MCM, the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. But anyway friends, what do you think of this theory? Do you think that this is a worthy explanation as to how Tobey knew that Tom Holland's Spider-Man was in trouble? And if not, what else do you think tipped him off besides the news coverage of the incident? As always my friends, thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next video.